Deep in the sun-dappled forest, where the trees whispered secrets to the wind and the streams giggled over smooth stones, lived a fox named Finley. Finley wasn't just any fox. He was the most curious fox in the entire woods. His nose, always twitching, led him on grand adventures every single day. One bright morning, while trotting along a mossy path, something unusual caught his eye. Tucked beside the gnarled root of an old oak tree was a single, large egg. It was a beautiful pearly white, speckled with tiny flecks of pale blue, unlike any egg Finley had ever seen before. He circled it cautiously, his amber eyes wide with wonder. Whose egg was this? It wasn't a robin's, that was for sure. Too big. Not a duck's, either. They nested by the pond. He nudged it gently with his nose. It felt smooth and slightly warm. "Hello in there?" he whispered, feeling a little silly. There was no reply, of course, just the gentle rustling of leaves in the breeze. Finley knew one thing for certain. An egg this far from a nest was a lost egg, and a lost egg was a very vulnerable thing. He couldn't just leave it here. With a determined glint in his eye, he decided he would become its guardian and find its home. But how do you move an egg without breaking it? Finley tried pushing it with his nose, but it just wobbled precariously. He tried to pick it up with his paws, but they were too clumsy. He even tried to roll it, but the path was too bumpy. He sat back on his haunches, his brow furrowed in thought. Then, he had a brilliant idea. He gathered a big pile of soft moss and leaves, creating a cushioned bundle all around the egg. Carefully, he began to nudge the entire bundle forward. It was slow work, but it was safe. His quest had officially begun. His first stop was Barnaby the badger's burrow. Barnaby was old and wise and knew almost everything about the forest. Finley found him sunning himself at his doorway. "Barnaby, good morning," Finley called out, carefully pushing his precious cargo. "Have you ever seen an egg like this?" Barnaby peered at the egg over his spectacles. A fine specimen," he grumbled thoughtfully. "Quite large, pearly white with blue specks. No, can't say I have. It's not from any bird I know around here. Have you tried asking the squirrels? They see everything from up in the treetops." Finley thanked Barnaby and continued on his way, pushing the mossy bundle toward the chattering canopy above. Up in the branches, a family of red squirrels was busy chasing each other. "Excuse me," Finley shouted up. A young squirrel named Squeaky scampered down a branch to get a better look. "Whatcha got there, Finley?" he chattered, his tail twitching. Finley explained his predicament. Squeaky and his family gathered around, peering down at the egg. They chattered amongst themselves, a flurry of squeaks and twitches. "Nope," Squeaky finally announced. "We've seen robin's eggs, blue jay's eggs, even the tiny hummingbird eggs, but nothing like that. It's a mystery." Disappointed but not defeated, Finley thanked the squirrels and pondered his next move. If it wasn't a forest bird, maybe it was a water bird. The Whispering Pond was his next destination. At the edge of the pond, Delilah the duck was preening her feathers, her ducklings paddling in a neat line behind her. "Delilah," Finley called. "Is this one of yours?" He gently nudged the moss bundle closer to the water's edge. Delilah swam over, her head cocked to one side. She looked at the egg, then at her own fluffy ducklings. "Oh, goodness no, dear," she quacked kindly. "My eggs are a creamy white, not so pearly, and certainly not with those lovely blue speckles. This is a very special egg though. I hope you find its mother soon. Finley was starting to feel a little discouraged. He had asked the wisest badger, the highest squirrels, and the kindest duck, and no one knew where the egg belonged. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows through the trees, Finley felt a pang of worry. The forest would get cold soon, and the egg needed to stay warm. He found a sheltered spot under a thick fern, reinforced his mossy nest, and curled his own fluffy body around it, sharing his warmth. He watched the stars begin to twinkle one by one through the leaves. "Don't worry, little egg," he whispered. "I'll keep you safe." As he drifted off to sleep, he didn't notice a pair of large, silent wings passing overhead. The next morning, Finley was awakened by a strange, beautiful sound. It was a melodic, mournful cry he had never heard before. He poked his head out from under the fern. Standing a short distance away was a magnificent bird, tall and elegant, with long legs and a gracefully curved neck. Its feathers were as white as the egg, and its eyes were a deep, intelligent black. It was a crane, a bird that only passed through the forest during its long migration. The crane looked directly at Finley, then at the mossy bundle, and let out another soft, hopeful call. Suddenly, Finley understood. This beautiful, sad-looking bird was a mother. He carefully pushed the moss away to reveal the egg. The mother crane let out a cry of pure joy and rushed forward. She gently nudged the egg with her long beak, cooing softly to it. She then turned her gaze to Finley, and her eyes were filled with a gratitude so deep that it needed no words. She bowed her head to the little fox, a silent thank you for his kindness and determination. Finley felt a warmth spread through his chest that had nothing to do with the morning sun. The mother crane carefully settled herself over her precious egg, finally able to give it the warmth and care it needed. Finley watched for a while, his heart full. His grand adventure was over. He hadn't known where the journey would lead, but by following his curious and kind heart, he had reunited a family. As he trotted back towards his den, the world seemed a little brighter and the forest a little friendlier. He knew he would never forget the curious case of the lost egg, and the day he made a friend who could fly all the way to the stars. From that day on, whenever Finley saw a crane flying high overhead, he would smile, remembering his part in a small, but very important, forest miracle. And so the story of Finley the curious and kind-hearted fox became a whisper on the wind, a tale told by the rustling leaves to all the young creatures of the woods, a reminder that a little curiosity and a big heart can lead to the greatest adventures of all. Thank you so much for joining me on Finley's adventure today. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the sun-dappled forest. We'll see you next time.